getting lost as a kid is one thing, it's scary, confusing, and you usually end up crying in front of a store until your parents find you. But getting lost in a mall as a grown adult? That's a different kind of humiliation. You can't cry. You can't yell for help. You can't even admit it to anyone, because how do you explain that you somehow lost your sense of direction in a building designed for people to walk in circles? But that's exactly what happened to me. The day started normally. I went to the mall with one simple mission: buy a new pair of shoes. That's it. No distractions, no detours. Okay. But the mall had other plans for me. You know that feeling when you step inside and immediately forget where you parked? Yeah, that was my first mistake. I told myself I'd remember the entrance I came through. Near the big fountain, I thought. Except, newsflash, this mall had multiple fountains, and apparently, they all looked exactly the same. I walked confidently at first, like I had everything under control. I even grabbed a pretzel on the way, because what's a mall trip without mall food, right? But that's where the overconfidence began. Pretzel in hand, I wandered deeper into the labyrinth of shiny floors, neon signs, and endless corridors. At some point, I realized I hadn't seen the shoe store I was aiming for. And worse, I didn't even know which floor I was on anymore. Was it the second? The third? Do malls even have 3 floors? Or had I hallucinated the escalators? I tried retracing my steps, but every corner looked the same. There was another pretzel stand, another clothing store blasting music too loud, another kiosk trying to sell me phone cases I didn't need. I swear I passed the same perfume lady 3 times. She looked at me like I was stalking her, when in reality, I was the one being hunted by my own lack of direction. The real panic didn't hit until my phone battery dropped to 5%. Suddenly, the mall didn't feel like a shopping center anymore. It felt like a survival challenge. The bright lights started to feel hostile, the music too loud, the endless crowds like obstacles instead of fellow shoppers. I even considered asking a stranger for directions. But how do you even phrase that? Excuse me, can you tell me where I am? Exactly, confidence inspired. At one point, I thought I'd found salvation. I saw a map, kiosk the kind with the little red dot that says you are here. Except the screen was frozen, and the red dot wasn't moving. So, technically, according to the map, I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And that was exactly how it felt. By now, my pretzel was long gone, my soda was just ice, and my patience was running thinner than the mall Wi-Fi. I stumbled into what I thought was a shortcut and ended up in a section of the mall I didn't even know existed. There were no familiar stores, just weird specialty shops selling things I couldn't imagine anyone actually buying. A whole store dedicated to decorative crystals. Another selling nothing but socks in wild patterns. I was lost in the mall's twilight zone. The climax came when I tried to head toward what I thought was an exit, only to find myself in the middle of a kids' play area. Imagine the scene: adults watching their toddlers climb on plastic slides. And me fully grown, sweaty, holding an empty pretzel bag, looking like I had just emerged from the wilderness. The judgment in their eyes was real. I could practically hear them thinking, "What is this guy doing here?"
A ghost.
That was the breaking point. I had to escape. Finally, after what felt like hours, I spotted something familiar. The food court, like a beacon of hope, glowing with the promise of greasy pizza and questionable Chinese food. From there, I recognized the escalator that actually led back to the entrance I came through. My car was waiting exactly where I'd left it, mocking me for ever thinking I could handle a simple trip to the mall. Walking out, I realized I had completely forgotten the original reason I went there. I didn't buy the shoes. I didn't even step foot in the right store. All I got was a pretzel, an accidental workout, and the kind of story you only admit after you've recovered from the embarrassment. But honestly, that's the beauty of it. Sometimes the most ridiculous, humiliating moments are the ones you laugh about later. At the time, I was panicking, sweating, and regretting every decision that brought me to that point. But looking back, I can't help but think about how absurd it is to get lost in a mall of all places. A mall designed for shopping, not survival, yet somehow I turned it into a personal maze. So now, whenever I go back, I take a picture of the entrance, a picture of the parking lot, and I make sure my phone is charged to 100%. Because I refuse to be that person again, okay? Still, I know deep down that if it happened once, it can happen again. The mall is a tricky beast, and I'm just not built for navigation. What about you? Have you ever gotten lost somewhere stupid? Maybe not a mall, but a school, a parking garage, or even your own neighborhood. I want to hear those stories in the comments. Because if I'm going down as the guy who got lost in the mall, I at least want to know I'm not alone. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because trust me, if I can get lost in a mall, imagine what kind of trouble I'll find next time.